Hey there, guys, and welcome to another episode of Ask Exterminator. This is a series where you guys ask me questions and I answer them. If you have any questions you'd like me to answer, ask them in the comments of this video, and I will answer them next week. Today, I'm answering questions from last week, and then a little bit from the week before that. There's actually not that many right now from last week, so because I did the video late, so it was only like 3 days ago. But we're gonna get started. There are a couple really good ones though, which will take a bit of a lengthy answer, so we should be good there. Let's go ahead and start out with. Okay, I picked out a question. There's a question that I'm really excited to answer, and I'm gonna answer it second. I don't want to start with it, but I want it near the start of the video because I think it would maybe be interesting for a lot of people. We will start with this question from Jack. It says, could you please explain the space extension / expansion mod and what components you need to space travel? So I can't really explain the components you need to space travel. One, because I don't remember really from when I played, and two, because they may have changed a bit since I played, and three, it would be very difficult to explain them. But in terms of explaining the mod, so basically, what space exploration is, the mod made by Arendelle, is that it adds, so at least when I played, this is just based on when I played. There's been a lot of updates since then, so it may be different. This is just based on my experience when I played it probably about a year ago. And it doesn't actually touch like the early game or mid game that much. It changes a couple things. It's really the late game that it changes. So that's where it's like different, or at least was different than Bob's Angels when I played, or something like that. Because unlike those mods or like Python's that just change everything, like all components from like the very start of the game, space exploration was is very focused on the late game. So like once you get to like launching a rocket, that's when things really start to change. Because then you can go into space and you can build a space platform. And then on that space platform, there's like buildings that can only be placed on a space platform. And there's recipes that can only be made in those special buildings. So you kind of have to do it eventually if you want to like beat the mod and progress with it. And it gets very complicated, very expensive. So you get to a point where you have to start sending materials from the planet up to your space platform so you can then make the stuff up there. And then you can go even further and go to other planets. And then like get resources from them and send them either to your main planet or to your space platform. And stuff like that. It gets really quite extensive. Then you can build a spaceship. You can travel to another planet in the rocket, or you can build a spaceship and travel that way. And the spaceship, at least when I played, was quite expensive and fairly extensive and lengthy to make. But it's super cool, and there were like asteroids and stuff where you could go and get like ice and other there were just some like iron and copper like patches on them as well, and I think there were moons too. It's really, really cool, really extensive. I think it's a great extension to the late game of Factorio. In the Reddit Weekly actually yesterday, one of the Factorio devs, finished his playthrough of it and just gave it a massive amount of praise. So that's kind of a good testament right there, is that one of the devs actually just gave a ton of praise to the mod and said that it's a very good like in-game expansion mod. So that's kind of my overview of it for you. Now here's the question I'm really excited to answer, mostly because I think a lot of people like don't know this, and I do get asked this a fair bit, and I talk about it a bit because I think, especially for someone who does this full time, at least to me, is very relevant and important. So this question comes from Derpamu. Derpamu, I think. I know who you are, I can't pronounce names. So it's kind of a multi-pronged question. The first part is they ask, which is more fun / rewarding / satisfying to you? Which feels less like work? Creating YouTube videos or streaming on Twitch? And this is really interesting. It may be kind of controversial, and I want to preface this and then his following question as well, their following question, with no matter how I answer, it doesn't mean that I dislike one of them. Okay, I don't want to give that impression. When I say one is better in this aspect, or like one's better overall for this thing or whatever, or I like doing this better or feels less like work, that doesn't mean that I just dislike the other, okay? Because that's not true. I don't want to give anyone the impression that I'm like sitting here like, oh God, I don't want to do this. That's not it at all. That's just, I just want to preface it. So, uh, I would say that honestly, it depends a little bit on what I'm doing for each of them, and also how I'm feeling that day or how busy I am that day. In that may be kind of a weird answer, but it's very true. Like, so I'm gonna start off by saying that in general, I would say that I find Twitch streaming on Twitch, to be more fun, rewarding, and satisfying than making YouTube videos. Um, for the most part. However, I do usually feel like making YouTube videos is less work. So that may seem like that kind of is hypocritical, or like like that I'm like countering my one answer with the other answer, but that's not true. Making YouTube videos I think is easier for the most part, but I think it's actually more fun and rewarding and satisfying to stream. Um, and again, that does depend on the day and how I'm feeling. Like some days, I'll just knock out a YouTube video, like boom, Reddit Weekly or Mod Spotlight, easy peasy, done. Don't mind it at all. It's super simple, straightforward, just like absolutely no problem. Other times, I'll be honest with you, I'm just not feeling it sometimes. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I gotta like, and this is sometimes, again, this is not always, but once in a while, this is the case with like anything you do. Once in a while, I'm just like, man, I really am just not feeling it. I do not really want to sit down and make this video. Um, and that can be the same for streaming. Sometimes I'm just like yesterday, I didn't stream, I wasn't feeling well. And I was just like, I can't sit there for several hours and talk and like use my brain to that extent. I'm not feeling it. But I did make the Reddit Weekly because that was a quick 20-minute video, so it kind of goes both ways. Um, it also depends on the type of video. So like, if I'm making like a tutorial, that's actually a fair bit of work. Especially depending on the context of the tutorial. So that's a fair bit of work. That's actually probably about as much work or more sometimes than I would consider streaming to be. So that's kind of the answer to that. Overall, like I said, I think I find streaming more fun, definitely more rewarding, and more satisfying. Usually, some videos like my big update videos, I find very satisfying to make, and also I find it extremely satisfying to see how they, like how well they do on YouTube and how much you guys enjoy them and stuff. And my tutorials, really really satisfying to see those turn out well and do well. So there's that. The second part of the question, and this is also something very interesting that I think hopefully I would hope you guys find interesting, or informative, is they ask which of the two is more lucrative, factoring in time and money, invested in streaming / recording and editing, but also maintaining the channels, developing and testing your custom mods, etc. If you had to choose, which of the two would you stop doing? So this is, I'm not going to go into like specific numbers in this. I can make a video doing that if people want. I've considered making a video going much more deeply into like the like how I get my income, where my income sources come from, and how they compare to each other. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. But for answering this question, I can absolutely say streaming is significantly more lucrative, even factoring in time, than recording than videos. Just hands down, absolutely, significantly more. Same with maintaining the channels, even developing and testing them custom mods, which I basically only use for streaming. I have some awesome guys in my community like the Shoop and Hopewell and Aridens and other guys like that who do a ton of work with the mods and my graphics work, and they do a lot of the testing stuff, so it saves me a lot of time with that. But even so, I got to give input, come up with the initial ideas and stuff like that for the most part. Even factoring that in, streaming is absolutely more like, just, again, I'm not going to go into specific numbers, but I can say that on like an average month, I make probably 3 times as much money streaming as I do from my videos for that entire month. Um, and overall, I probably put in a little more time to streaming because I stream 3 times a week, usually for like an hour and a half to 2 hours, which isn't very much. But if you let's just average it out to like 5 hours a week of streaming again, which is like not very much at all. I have so much stuff going on, and I'm tired a lot, which limit it. But anyway, let's say 5 hours a week of streaming, and then I really probably spend like hour and a half to 2 hours a week making videos right now because I have another job right now that is taking a lot of time. So like that's why it's such little time spent. Um, even like it's just significantly more. Like unless the only exception being is when there's a big release, like when 1.0 came out, I definitely made some my YouTube revenue was like double or like 2.5 times what it normally is because the videos were just getting so many views and I was putting out so much content. But yeah, on an average month, I make probably at least 3 times the amount of money from Twitch as I do on YouTube. Um, and to kind of go to the last part of the question, if I had to choose, so here's the interesting thing, is they're more intertwined than people would think maybe, because a lot of my Twitch traffic comes from YouTube. Like, obviously, at this point, I've developed a pretty good audience of regulars who come in to the streams who, are probably on the channel here on YouTube. But a lot of my newer viewers come from, like, a lot of my newer stream viewers come from the YouTube channel. And that directs a lot of traffic to my stream, which then my stream is where I make most of my money. So they kind of go hand in hand, and mostly YouTube helps streaming. Streaming doesn't really help YouTube that much. So even with all, so it's not just as simple as like I could just drop one and have the other one be unaffected, necessarily. I To a degree, like I could drop streaming and have YouTube be mostly unaffected. But my actual answer to that question is if I just had to, for whatever reason, if I just had to stop doing one and just pick one and do it, I would do streaming. And I know you folks who don't like going to Twitch or don't like watching the streams or just really like the YouTube content, I know that may be hurtful to hear. Again, it doesn't mean I don't like doing YouTube. That's not the case at all. But like I said, Twitch is significantly more lucrative, and it could be even more so. Like literally, if I just put in more time to Twitch, generally I'm gonna make more money. YouTube isn't necessarily that straightforward. It kind of is, but it doesn't really work out as well as Twitch in that regard. Um, so like Twitch just has a better potential to make money right now, than YouTube does. So like if I just absolutely had to stop doing one, I would stop doing YouTube. Now that would of course hurt my Twitch again because a lot of my new viewers come from YouTube, but it would not be viable for me whatsoever to only do YouTube and not stream. That just would not be an option for me. So there you go, guys. I know it was a really long one. This is not the end of the video, but there's your answer for that. I thought it was really interesting. I hope you guys found it interesting. If you have any follow-up questions with that, definitely feel free to ask. If you'd like me to make a whole video kind of dedicated to that whole topic, let me know. But let's go to another question from Michael Lynch, and they say, what was your favorite moment of 2020? Nothing, I hated it. No, I'm kidding. 2020 was a very rough year for a lot of people. Myself kind of included to a degree. Could have been a lot worse. Honestly, I don't know. I don't remember a lot from it specifically. I'm going to be honest with you. I really don't. I really do not remember a lot from it. Because I don't know, man. It's just a weird year. Like, I can't even believe that it's been a year since the start of 2020. Like, I can't believe that 2020 is just over. It kind of all blended together. I don't really remember a lot from, like, it sounds really weird. It's not because It's not because I like was doing stuff that like affects my memory or anything. I just it was a very weird year. It kind of just flew by, but it was also very strange. If I had to pick a favorite moment, man, 2020, January, February, March. Was that in 2020? It had to have been in 20. Okay, because, well, 2020 didn't start getting weird until, when was that? Whenever coronavirus came to the US for me. Again, I know it was elsewhere in the world and affecting other people before that. When I live in the US, so obviously until it came here, I wasn't really affected by it personally. So, um, that was around what, like March or April? March, I want to say maybe. I have two of my favorite. I'm gonna pick a couple. First one was probably Valentine's Day, because that's actually the first. It was the first actually Valentine's Day in my life that I actually was with somebody at the time. That I'd met my girlfriend several months beforehand. It was a night, like a whole, like a just a day, a night that I'm probably never gonna forget. It was just like, in general, it's just really nice. It was just it was really nice. It was just, it was a really, really, really good time. And it was great food and stuff too. Oh man, it was just so good. That's one of them. Probably another one. Probably another one is like the first time. I forget when this was. It was probably in, like, I want to say like April maybe, that my girlfriend and I started watching Lego Masters, and then we watched Lego Masters Australia, which personally I know this is like going like really Lego nerdy, which maybe a lot of you aren't into or don't care about. But then we started watching Lego Masters Australia, which personally I think is like leagues better than the American version. Um, the first time we watched season one and two of Lego Masters Australia together, like, that may be a weird moment to pick, but it was just so great. Like, I had not enjoyed a TV show of any sort that much for years. Like, it was just so good. I enjoyed every moment of it. It was so nice. It was a really good, nice time together that we spent in. It got me back into Lego, which, while expensive and costly and time consuming, has been an absolute joy for me. Being back into Lego, and that kind of is what started it. So those are the moments I would pick for 2020. I hope everyone had some good moments from 2020. Like I said, I know it was a very rough year for folks, but I hope that I really hope that people still had some good moments. So let me see here. Um, Cyrilth asks, in which country would you like to travel and why? I'd like to go to several countries. I really enjoy going to Switzerland. I mean, as I'm sure all of you know, it's absolutely beautiful. It looks just amazing. Um, I love the architecture that's there. I love the nature that's there. It just looks mind blowing. I would really love to travel there. I would like to go to Ireland. I have a lot of Irish heritage, so I'd like to go there. Um, I'd really like to go to. Uh, I mean, while we're in Ireland, probably wouldn't mind going to like Scotland. Um, I guess Japan, just because it's like a really cool, interesting culture, and like there's a lot of cool things to see there. Japan isn't like as high on my list as it is for a lot of people. Um, I don't know, man. Like, I don't like super busy places, so like going to Tokyo, I feel like wouldn't be as great for me as it would be for a lot of people. I just I don't really like going to like insanely busy, crowded places, like even before COVID or anything like that. That's just not for me. So I don't know. Like Japan's beautiful as well. I think, maybe, yeah. I don't know about going to Tokyo. Like, I don't know. That just sounds a little much for me. um, there's a lot of other places. I'm trying to think, like, where else. I'd like to go. I kind of wouldn't mind going to Denmark, honestly. I know it's really pretty. Again, some interesting, just like architecture. I'm really interested in like other countries' architecture and culture, and also that's, I believe, where the headquarters of Lego is, and I would absolutely love to go like visit the Lego stuff there. There's so much cool stuff. Last one I'm going to mention is probably. I would actually really like to go to the Czech Republic. I'd really like to go to Prague. Prague seems really, really just so full of culture and old, really cool architecture. Just seems like a really cool city. And I'm sure there's really beautiful places around there too. Plus, obviously, that's where the Factorio dev team is. Would be cool to visit them. So those are my top ones that I'd like to go visit. Will I visit all of them? I don't know. Will I visit any of them? I don't know. But that's just hypothetically. So there's that, and then I think that's actually it for the questions from last week. I'm gonna pull one or two questions from um, Matt or Fred G. Sorry, from the previous week where he asked all kind of different questions, and I said I would pick a couple for for each week. So one of the ones I picked is, what is something that is really satisfying to do? So this I'm gonna just answer this personally. Like for me, this is gonna kind of be different for everybody. I think there's some universally satisfying things, I suppose, but for me, again, I know I'm saying this a lot, but I'm a little obsessed right now. Building Lego, like I used to play with Lego all the time as a kid, but now that I'm an adult, I think I have a new appreciation for it. The sets they come out with now are just absolutely mind blowing compared to when I was a kid. Also, I have like actual money to buy Lego now, like not a ton obviously, but more than I did when I was a kid and like just getting money from like doing house chores. So I just like the satisfaction I get from putting together Lego and then seeing the finished creation, whether it be a set or creating my own thing, which I actually did for some Christmas presents for my parents over Christmas. Either way, it is such an incredibly, it's very much like Factorio in that aspect, at least for me, and I think for a lot of other people too. Like in Factorio, when you're working on something and you finally complete it and complete that puzzle and see the end result of what you created, that feeling of satisfaction you get, that's the same thing that I feel with Lego. Like while I'm building it, it's super satisfying, and then even once I'm done, seeing the finished product and that it was from like just a bunch of these parts, like just parts, and then we built this thing. It's just a really, really enjoyable, satisfying feeling. Um, let's see. And then this other, I'm gonna pick one more. Says, do you think that a little pain slash stress are necessary to make a healthy, functioning person, or can someone who lived in complete comfort most of their life still do well when they encounter some unexpected challenge, as everyone does? Absolutely. I think that this is just my opinion. I think that to be like a quote unquote healthy, well, maybe not healthy, but like a functioning, somewhat well-rounded person, you have to have experienced some sort of hardship. Like someone who has literally just lived comfortably, never had a real challenge in their life, had everything given to them on a silver platter. Um, like they're just, first of all, that shapes like your perspective on things for the most part. There's exceptions, of course, but as there is with everything. But that like, man, like that just changes your perspective. Like first off, you're not even going to be able to understand usually and sympathize with anyone who has had problems because you've never experienced that, experienced that yourself. And then also, I very much think yes, I think that like you are going to be very unprepared and ill-equipped to handle an unexpected challenge if you've never been challenged or had a hardship in your life. Like I said, if you've just been given everything on a silver platter, never actually faced a real challenge in your life, if one came along and you didn't have, and you had to deal with it, I think that person would not handle it well at all because they haven't had the experience with that. Just like anything, like, yeah, it's gonna be the case. Like if you if you're a first time driver and you literally your first time driving is driving in the snow and ice, you're going to most likely be very bad at it. You're probably going to either crash or have a very very bad experience. Whereas if you're someone who has driven before and learned how to, drive the best you can in snow and ice and how to react, then when that ends up happening, sure, you may not handle it perfectly, but you're gonna be a lot better equipped than compared to like if it was literally your first time ever driving and you drove in that same condition. Like that's just an example, but that's the case with everything. Like if you've not experienced it, you don't really have the experience and the knowledge and the result of how to handle it. So yeah, probably not going to be very well equipped. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Again, please leave your questions in the comments of this video for me to answer next week. And this time will actually be a full week, so hopefully we'll get some more. Like always, can be Factorio related, can be game related, can be unrelated to any of that, like some of these questions have been. I enjoy all of them, and as long as it's appropriate for me to answer here on YouTube. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, a like is appreciated. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.